All right, so I want to welcome here to Closers Are Losers. I am here. I'm the chairman of Seventh Level. I'm here with our CEO, Matt Ryder, again for an awesome episode. Now, if you've not been on our podcast before, we are a company that helps sales professionals, probably like you, coaches, sales managers, executives, business owners. We help them transform the way they sell by learning specific skilled questions that work with human behavior, skilled sales techniques rather than against it. That's really important. These are called neuro-emotional persuasion questions. We teach them the right tonality that puts your prospects at ease, eliminates sales pressure, and gets your prospects to persuade themselves. So in our show today, we've got some pretty exciting things that we're going to cover with you today. Matt, I'm going to turn it over to you, my friend.
Yeah. So today what we're going to talk about is the structures and everything that you need to put in and just how you schedule your life as a really, really effective salesperson, how Jeremy went from industry to industry, being the top guy, some of the stuff that I've done, and just how you guys can get better at sales or make more sales without having to get better at sales, and hopefully take this stuff, apply it, use it, make more money tomorrow. I am your host here, Matt Ryder, and then we have the man, the myth, the legend, Jeremy Miner.
I'm not that cool, but thanks for the compliment.
Yeah, just being boring, isn't that right?
Just being boring, just hanging out. You know, I'm traveling today. We're out in Scottsdale, Arizona. We have a second house here. We come out here in the winter months sometimes when it's so freaking cold in Missouri just to get away. Yeah. It's like 68 degrees today, so we're just hanging out. What are you doing?
Yeah, what's up, man? You know, morning time, just dropped the kids off. So all good, getting ready, doing a podcast with the man himself. So yes, this is obviously a different format than the usual podcast. So this will become part of the format where it's me and Jeremy talking just more like nitty gritty, I guess, sales stuff and how we can help and how Jeremy can help you actually get better at sales. That's really what it's all about. And not only get better at sales, but just make more money. And that's actually what we're talking about today. Is how do you make more money in sales? How do you become a more efficient salesperson, a better salesperson without just having to get better at sales? Because as we know, that can take time, you know what I mean? But there are things that we can do and things that Jeremy can teach us that are going to allow us to just, I don't know, start setting ourselves up for success early. So take me back through, let's just go back through like first sales gig was door knocking. Is that right?
Yeah.
That was alarm sales.
Yeah. Sold alarm sales. Yeah. Uh-huh.
All right. And then where did you move on to from there?
So after I got into alarm sales, I got a job selling like personal development events. Think like it wasn't for Tony Robbins, but it was somebody similar to that. It was a company, like an international organization that did personal development events all over the world, anywhere from like $7,000 an event all the way up to like 30 grand to like these crazy events like in South Africa and Australia and everywhere that they would fly people into. And I just sold those for about 3 years. That's when I first got into, I think my third year, I made like 1.3 million in commissions just in the third year. So that's when I started.
It's a living.
It's a living. You can, well, with inflation, it's hard to get by on that now, but 1.3 million a year. So that, that was back in like 2006. I mean, I was like 20, I don't even know what it was, like 24 or something like that, 25, somewhere in that range. So I literally thought I was like Donald Trump, like I was the world's richest person in the world and that type of thing. So yeah, I sold personal development events at that point. And then after that, after doing about that for about 4 years or so, 4 or 5 years, I got into selling like debt relief services where I was helping companies like they got into like millions of dollars of debt, helping them consolidate that. I made, in that industry, I was making about $2.5 million a year in straight commission. A lot of that was cold calling and different things. And then after that, I got into selling like coaching, coaching for different influencers, different companies, packages from on the low point, like 10 grand all the way up to about 50 grand. And so those were the 4 industries that I was basically in.
Okay. Did you feel like there was, because I know like one of the things that I hear when I speak to salespeople are, oh, well, our industry is different, man. Like it's a little bit quirky. It's a little bit this. And like, I don't know. It's one of those things where you always have to, You have to like acknowledge what they're saying, but then
Yeah.
try and go like, well, you're still selling people.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, we're still, the end user is a person, right? So it's not like we're selling robots. So did you find there was much of a difference between going from alarms to selling personal development to selling coaching to selling debt relief? Like,
well, I mean, if you don't understand the sales process, if you don't understand human behavior and human psychology, then it's going to be very, very different. Because those, I mean, if you look alarms, door to door to personal development conferences, that has nothing in common. To debt relief services, nothing in common. To selling e-commerce, nothing in common. None of those are in common at all. But it's understanding the sales process, it's understanding the step-by-step questions, and it's understanding the right questions to ask that help the prospects find problems they didn't even think they had. Most problems, most people don't even know they have problems you first talk to them. And then it's helping them see that clearly, where there's this massive gap from where they are compared to where they want to be. And your questioning ability makes them feel like that gap is so large in their mind that for them to get where they want, they have to solve these problems, and they solve that with you. So once you understand human psychology, human behavior, and you know what problems your product or service solves, it's easy to write the questions around that. So that's why I could hop from any industry. I could go tomorrow and sell cars and be the top salesperson in that dealership in a month. Then I could bounce over and sell yachts, be the number one guy in a month or two. Then I could go sell houses. Then I could go sell SaaS products, or I could go sell cybersecurity. It doesn't freaking matter when you understand that. Now, if you don't understand that and you're just out winging it and you just talk a lot, that's why you always hear salespeople struggle. They might be really good at selling one thing, and then they go to another industry and they just like suck. And then they go back like with the tail between their legs, like, oh, I can only sell cars.
There's stuff out there. Yeah.
There's stuff out there. It's because they don't understand.
It's a numbers game.
It's a numbers game. Yeah, it's a numbers game, right? That's what they're.
Yeah, that'll chestnut. Okay, so like you're obviously a very successful sales rep in all your industries and understanding your human psychology. As far as like how you, like, I get asked this question a lot. Like, how do you structure yourself to be a successful salesperson? Because, obviously there's people who are going to close straight away. There's people who are going to require more nurturing. There's people who are going to have like logistical issues in the way. So like, how do you kind of tackle that? And how do you make sure that you can stay on top? Because like, if you're making millions of dollars a year in sales, like, especially not selling like fine art where it's it's a $250,000 commission or something like that, right?
Yeah,
but if you're selling things where you're getting like 1, 2, 4, 5, even $5,000 a sale commission, that's a high volume of sale, right?
It is, yeah.
And so like, how do you set yourself up, and like, what were the kind of processes that you put in to ensure that you didn't just like lose people throughout the way, and that you were really organized?
Well, there's two things. Let me go with the most important thing. The first thing you have to do is you set up prospecting blocks. Okay. And here's what I mean by prospecting blocks. Okay. There are certain parts of the day where your calendar is filled and all you are doing is prospecting. You don't have Skype on. You don't have your checking Facebook. You don't check emails. Even if an email comes in and you see it, you don't go over and type out a response for 10 minutes. You don't get on YouTube. So I call those prospecting blocks. So what I would do is every morning I'd get in my office around 7:30. I would check my emails for 30 minutes, and that was it. I wouldn't check email again until around 2:00. Didn't care. Now, if somebody emailed me like, I want to buy right now, I'm sending in $50,000, I would call that real quick, right? Anything else, admin emails, any marketing department, anything, completely ignored during my prospect blocks. Okay. Yeah. And so from like 8 to 11, all I'm doing is prospecting all those hours. Then from like 11 to 12, I've got follow-ups right there where I'm following up. It's all scheduled out. Mm-hmm. And then from like 12 to 12:30, I'm eating. I take a short lunch because like I don't have time for that crap. And then from like maybe 1 to 2, I have a meeting block where I can schedule meetings. Then from 2 to 3:30, I'm prospecting again. And I remember when I was working those hours, probably 3:30 to 5, when I'd get off, that's when I would do the end of my follow-ups and then check my email again. And literally my calendar was that way Monday through Friday for me to get up to, at the highest point, I was making about 2.5 million a year in commissions, but it was because I was very, very organized. And so what would happen is I'd be in there calling leads in my office, and I'd literally like put a little thing on my door that says prospecting time, do not disturb. And nobody would come in there because they would get screamed at. Okay.
And you're making all the money for the company. So
that's the money time. Yeah. Cause there'd be other reps that would come in there and they'd be like, hey, let's go to lunch, or, let's go do this. I'm like, dude, sorry, I don't have time. Like I'm calling my leads. Well, those salespeople were making, 80 grand a year, which, is probably what the average salesperson makes or less. But I was making more than that every month, right? I was making that like every couple of weeks. But it was because of my skills and because of my organization, I was probably getting 2 to 3 more hours a day in work. And I wasn't like I was working 14 hours a day. I was still working 8 hours, but I was actually working those 8 hours. I wasn't working 4 or 5 and then on YouTube or sitting by the coffee machine the rest of the day.
Isn't it crazy? Like, just from the psychology of that, like if I had a guy who was in the office with me making what I make in a year and a month, I'd be like, hey man, can I just like sit in your office for a week and see what you do? I'd just be like, I'll pay you my week's wage. Like, just let me sit here. I'll be quiet. I'll shut up. Just let me watch. You know what I mean? And just emulate everything. Like that's insane.
Yeah. And most people would. I mean, most people, like I train everybody in the company anyways, but most people would. But it's all about your organization. It's not just your selling ability. That's a huge part, probably the most important, but it's how organized you are with that. Because you can be the greatest salesperson in the world, but if you're not organized with your calendar and what you're doing, you're just losing sales because you're not organized. So prospecting blocks are important.
Yeah, I remember when I was a personal trainer, I would never train a client between 6 and 8 p.m. on a Monday.
Yeah,
because that was the money prospecting time. So, like, I would do all my prospecting, like, because of the way the nature that I didn't have to do that much prospecting, but all my prospecting was 6 to 8 on a Monday because everyone goes to the gym Monday night across the world. Everyone, that's like corporate's night to go out and do and go to the gym. And so I would just sit there and I would just fill my calendar in 2 hours. I'd be like, all I have to do is speak to this many people. If I approach this many people, I have this many conversations. If I have this many conversations, I can book this many free trial sessions. If I have 10 free trial sessions, I know that I can convert 5 of them into a paying client. That will average 2 sessions a week. So I can, so I would just constantly have that spot filled with prospecting. And it really is so important that you lay out your day like that,
110 gazillion percent. Now, the second thing you have to do is every night without fail at the end of your day, whether that's at 4:30 or 5 when you're leaving the office, or even your house now if you're selling the house with everything that's going on or whatever, or even before you go to bed, you have to write out your to-do list of what you have to do tomorrow. The to-do list is something that I was trained as like a 21-year-old kid. I went to an event with Brian Tracy, Brian Tracy, the sales trainer. And the first thing I learned from that guy, literally was 21-year-old kid getting into sales, was how to make a to-do list, right? So every night before I go to bed, without fail, doesn't matter if I'm really tired or whatever, and that's Sunday night, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday night, because I'm working Monday through Friday my time, I write out a to-do list of everything that I have to do. Now, as I get through that to-do list, and I actually write down the times I'm going to do that, like 6:30 to 7:30 in the morning, I'm writing out content for this course. 7:30 to 8, I'm reading this chapter in this book, because I always read 30 minutes a day. 8 to 8:30, I've got this training call with Matt. 9 to 9:45, I'm writing out content of what I'm going to train in our Facebook group today. So everything has to be organized with my schedule. Otherwise, I don't get anything done. If you don't have that organization, when you go into your office the next day and you come in the office like, I don't really know what to do, and then you start writing out your to-do list, you're just already behind the 8 ball. So I write it the night before, to-do list, the times I'm going to do it. As I get done during the day with each of those, I scratch a line through it. So by the end of the day, most of that's scratched off. I'm like, wow, I got a lot done. And that way, when I go to bed at night, that's in my subconscious of what I have to do the next day. So when I wake up, it's like I already know what I'm going to do at each section of that day. Like, I've got to create this new ad for this, or I've got to do this today at this time. And that's how you keep organized, and you get a lot more done during those 7 or 8 hours you're working.
Yeah. I think that's a huge point, is that's the organization. When I was like full-time selling, I had actions on. I had the prospecting time booked in. I had my follow-up time booked in. I had my referral time booked in. I had my like actions on if I had a no-show, because obviously if someone books out an hour in your diary, like the amount of sales reps that I talk to go, what do you do when you no-show? Like, oh, just hang out. It's like, no, mate, call the leads. Like you have a prospecting list, right? Like call them, especially like with auto dialers these days. Auto dialers were a huge thing for me because I used to really call lists. That's a huge way. I used to pick the worst salesperson in the organization. I would have a list of all the people who I knew were like from best to worst, right?
Yeah.
And all the leads that the worst guys had not sold, those were my priority. And then I'd work my way up because each level was going to get harder to resell because the sales process was better and better, right? So I would just pick the worst guys as leads. Like, hey, you guys didn't sell them. I can sell them, sell them, sell them, sell them. So, and with an auto dialer, I would set it to 4 dials a minute. So 15-second dials, 4 dials a minute. If nobody picked up in an hour, I'd do 240 dials.
Wow.
But usually it's 1 in 10 will pick up, and then 1 out of 2 will have time for a conversation. So 20 dials equals 1 pickup, equals 1 conversation, and usually 50% of conversations. So 40 dials is one genuine conversation that I can probably book into a follow-up sales call. Yeah. So like there's, in my opinion, like there is no excuse, especially if you're working for, say, like a larger company that has years worth of lead generation and sales reps. There's no excuse to sit there and go, well, I haven't been fed the warm leads this week, so it's a quiet week. It's like, what about the tens of thousands of people who have opted in previously? Like they still want it. They still have an interest. It's just about reigniting that flame.
Yeah, they wouldn't have opted in if they didn't have any problems, right? When they opt in, they're basically raising their hand saying help, right? Just the salesperson didn't know the right questions to ask or didn't get a hold of them or whatever, but it doesn't mean they still don't have those same problems because they're still in status quo because the problems haven't been solved.
Which is why cold calling works.
Yeah.
I got on the phone the other day, and it was actually for a B2B deal for us, and the guy signed up. Really good guy. We're going to really help him out. Yeah. But yeah, he was like, I was asking about his alternate lead generation strategies, and essentially I was trying to find the problem because they were successful with they had good stats. So I was like, okay, I have to find a problem here. And the problem is they were very reliant on one client and one lead gen mechanism. So they had no door knocking skills and they had no cold calling skills, and they're a home remodeling company. So that's a real problem. And that's something that we can really fix. So once I established that, we started talking about cold calling and door knocking and redundancy of marketing strategies. That's when he clicked and we became problem finder, problem solver, right?
Yeah, you helped him find a problem he didn't know he had.
Yeah, exactly. And so that was huge. He's like, does cold calling still work? I said, cold calling hands down is the most effective marketing tool on the planet, still to this day, because you'll never run out of people to call.
Yeah. It's the most effective if you know what to ask when they answer the phone.
Exactly. It's a hard thing. We were just talking earlier about one of our students, Kyle, who does cold calling for digital marketing, which is a tough gig because they get called a lot. Yeah. But he's averaging 1 in 5. 1 in 5 pickups is getting a booking.
That's freaking amazing.
That's like he's getting to the gatekeeper like over 80% of the time. Yeah. And then from there, once he gets to gatekeeper, 1 in 5 gatekeepers that he took, 1 in 5.
We need to hire Kyle here.
Yeah. Kyle, congratulations, buddy. You got a job.
You're hired. You got the gig.
Yeah, for sure. All right, cool. So we got blocking at our time. Yeah. Right. And then we've got just being super organized and doing your to-do list. Yeah. What else? What else can these guys do to sort of really help them on a day-to-day level?
Man, it's having that inner drive to become the best in your profession. Right. And I got that at an early age because when I was in athletics or sports, whatever you guys want to call them, whatever country you live in. And I played baseball and football. I know I'm small now, but I used to be a little bit bigger. And so I was really, really competitive in those sports. Right. So I outworked everybody else in my high school. Right. Like I wasn't the fastest guy. I was pretty fast, but there was people that were faster than me. So by the time I became a sophomore, I realized, okay, this is a problem that I have. Like I'm really good, but I'm not great like these 5 guys in my conference, and they're greater than me because they're faster. They have more agility. So what am I going to do about that? Am I just going to complain and say, oh, well, they're faster because their dad was a sports guy and it's just in their DNA, or just whatever excuse I had? No, I would get up early in the morning, like 5 in the morning. And I remember they used to have these things. I didn't know what they were called. They're for like basketball players. And they're like these platform shoes that you would wear. and they would make you jump higher and like run faster if you ran in them. And this was back in like the late 1990s. This is crazy. I'm telling you this story, like 98, 99, 2000. And I literally would get up at 5 a.m. and there was these hills up on the school, like just this type of incline. And I literally would get up Monday through Friday before I went to work in the summers. And every morning I would do these sprints, and I was on this sprinting program. And then in by the time I got into my senior year, I was just as fast as those other 5 guys in the conference that 2 years before were way faster than me. So it was just my competitive drive that made me learn the skills, like have the muscle formula or whatever the technique to get to their speed level, right? And it's the same thing in sales. Like you have to be like, you know what? Okay, I'm coming into this company. Do you want to just be average or do you want to be great? Because you're going to work the same amount of hours. You're going to put in your 40 hours a week. So in my mind, I'm like, if I'm going to put in the same 40 hours a week, I want to make twice as much as I'm making now, because why would I not do that? So it's learning the right skills. Like it's your prospecting block, your organization time, your to-do list, and it's your competitive drive to become a great salesperson. You only become a great salesperson by not just getting pumped up and listening to Tony Robbins videos, which those are great. But the moment your prospect picks up the phone and says, hello, if you don't know what to ask to get them to want to engage and open up to you and tell you about their problems, every Tony Robbins video you've ever watched, it doesn't matter, right? That motivation is just going to go out the window. You have to know the right skills. So it's that competitive drive to become the best. And that competitive drive causes you to get up in the morning and to rehearse and train and learn new skills for an hour each day. When I first got into sales, I'd get up an hour early, about 5:30, 6 in the morning. And all I would do was read books, read manuals, watch videos, anything I could do to like develop those sales skills. And that's why I became eventually the best in all those industries. It's your competitive drive.
I think also there's a key point there, which is like not allowing problems that are bigger than you to define like what you do about them. I always like the business owner who blames the economy. Like you can't fix the economy. Yeah. So if you blame the economy on all your problems, you won't even try and fix it. Yeah. If you blame the leads, and now I'm not saying there aren't poor lead quality. However, there are things that you can do, and you can pipeline lots of people, and you can figure out ways to fix the problem while you help the people who can control lead quality fix the problem. Like you have to look at ways where you can go, well, there's no point complaining about things. I'm not fast enough genetically. Okay. I could just be that way, or I could work at getting faster. You know, like it's funny the amount of people that I talk to that just like, oh, well, I'm not making money because my leads aren't good. It's like, well, to be perfectly fair, if you're really good at sales, you would not have a problem getting another job in a different area or industry. Yeah. Like tomorrow, because you sell yourself. Yeah. And if you're really good at sales, you would just sell yourself. Like, yeah. Like it's funny. I've never once not gotten a sales job.
Yeah. No, it's 100% right. It's the same thing when, when the pandemic started, and a lot of people in this industry, the sales training industry, because they do live speaking engagements. Like I had 21 live speaking engagements that I make quite a bit of money from, right? We make quite a bit of money from the speaking engagement that were scheduled for 2020. Well, when the pandemic happened, they're all canceled. So that lost a ton of money. So what do? Well, you have to adapt. You have to go virtual. You have to start having master classes virtually. And a lot of sales trainers that I know, most of them have still never adapted to that. So they're like gone, and these are some big name people that just never learned how to go to virtually, never how to generate leads, never how to do anything like that. They just sold from the stage, and they're crushed now, hoping and waiting for COVID to end so their live events keep going on. Well, that was 11 months ago, and here we're still here, and maybe it's going to be another year. I don't know. I can't control COVID. I can't control what governments do. All I can control is what I do. So I'm going to make the adjustment. Me and you will make the adjustment, and we'll be virtual. We'll get more leads, and that's what we've done, right? You just have to adjust.
I mean, you look at Tony Robbins, right? Like, what did he spend? $15 million on that Zoom setup? What was it? Like crazy. It was something crazy. But like, I mean, the dude sitting there like this, that photo of him with 65,000 people on a Zoom call is just, I mean, it's amazing. It's a true testament to like, yeah, man, like that guy was like, all right, what do I need to do to continue to be the billionaire that I am.
Yeah. And like how many events, live events was he doing where he had 65,000 people at? Zero. I mean, that's like a football stadium. So now he's probably like, oh, maybe I should be doing these Zoom live events with 60 to 70,000 people. So they don't have to travel. So more people are going to show up. Right. I'm sure he's still going to do some live events down the road when things open up, maybe in a year or 2 or 3 years. I don't know. But I'm assuming most of his events now are just going to be those virtual events because there's way more people that are able to come there. So he basically found a problem now that he's like, wow, once I saw this, maybe this is better this way now.
I've met there's a lot of people, a lot of like business coaches, especially that those virtual events and masterminds, because I think people are being conditioned now, especially to allow themselves to become vulnerable, and especially over Zoom, and have meaningful conversations and absorb information this way. Plus, you don't have to leave your house. So your travel costs go down. You know what I mean? You can work it around different schedules. You can still take your kids to daycare in the morning, just miss one of them. So it's a superior way of doing it. And it's an easier way to learn. Plus you can record it and then you can go back through, chop it up for content, repurpose it from the business owner perspective. Then you can watch it again as the actual client. So for me, it's a better way of doing it. And there's no way that, I'm in Sydney, Australia. You're in Arizona, Here we are doing a podcast, going out to who knows how many people are listening on all different devices. So, it's a beautiful thing. The grass is green no matter where we stand, Jeremy. So.
I love it. That's right.
But yeah, see, I think that's helpful. Like, I don't think we need to go too much deeper, but I think like I get asked that question a lot, and I think people don't realize, and I think they're always looking for that. What, I get asked this, like, what can I say when? It's like, well, all right, like we can get into that, but like, what are you doing to make sure you're successful? Because if you're spending 10, 20, 30, 40, $50,000 a year or whatever on sales training, but you're not doing the basics, you're not doing your follow-ups, you're not getting referrals, you're not listening to the prospect, you're not setting yourself up for success, like you will become more successful through the fact that you're converting your opportunities better, but you're never going to be really financially successful in sales until you maximize your opportunity. And I think that you illustrated beautifully how the guys can do that.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, it's like I said, it's building out your prospecting time. That's what we've covered today, like specific blocks where that's all you're going to do. You're not going to respond to emails or anything like that. You're not going to look on YouTube. You're not going to, text your girlfriend back or anything like that. Or your boyfriend or whatever, and then there's times you have to do your to-do list the night before. So you know exactly what to do in the office. You have to have that competitiveness in your mind that you want to become the best so you can provide for your family. You can do well for the companies you work with, or if you're the business owner, you can do well for your families. And you have to learn the right skills. I mean, if you have those 4 things, I mean, the sky's the limit in sales. You can sell anything. You can go anywhere. You can write your own ticket. You can go anywhere in the world when you have those skills. And those are all skills that can be learned, right? Even though I was really competitive in sports and became, pretty fast for a white guy, there was just a certain level physically that I was not gifted enough to go to the next level. I played college baseball, but couldn't go past that. But with my mind, I can learn things, right? I can outlearn people and learn more advanced skills. And that's why I can get to that level. And that's available for everybody.
Sales is a 100% learnable skill. It's process driven. You understand it and you work at it. You can be good at it. You can be an introvert, an extrovert. It doesn't matter. I think sales is one of the more learnable skills in business that you don't require. Obviously, natural aptitude helps, but you can learn it. Like anyone can be good at it.
100%. There's your introverts, your extroverts, and there's actually a middle that they just came out with. And I took the test. I'm actually in the middle. I'm not an extrovert. I'm not an introvert. I'm like right in the middle. It's this weird thing. There's 3 now. I wonder what you are.
I'm pretty extroverted.
You're pretty extroverted? I'm like right in the middle. I'm not introverted. I'm not extroverted. I'm like right in the middle. I'm weird.
I'm an extremist. You're
an extremist?
Yeah, it just is a little bit of banter for the podcast people. Me and my friends, because all my friends are ex-special forces guys, right? Because we all served together. And generally speaking, that personality type is extremist. Like, you're all in or you're, so we all go from fat to lean, from fat, right? We all just bounce up. We just, we live our life. It's just who we are. We're okay with it. And
that is awesome. I love it.
I actually have a tattoo here.
What?
I've got a lot of tattoos, but there's one there where I
good gosh.
I lost a competition. So I had to get that there, but it's because, this just goes to show how important like your diary can be. So I said to a friend and I said, hey, let's do a competition to see who can get the most amount of points. There's a point system called MEPS with this little heart monitor that you wear. And we go, the most amount in a month wins. We go, okay. And we started off day one. I was like, okay, just did one workout. And then he did more than me. So the next day I did 2 workouts, and then, so I was more than him. And the next day he did 3 workouts. And so for the entire month, we had a competition going because you can see the other person's points live. And I worked out 3 times a day for a month, right? Every single day, 3 times a day. I was working out. I was going down to the garage at 10 p.m. on the assault bike doing an hour. And it was a huge eye opener for me to be like, I've got so much more time than I think. Yeah. And if I make it a priority, it becomes important to me. I can schedule it and I can do it. And I went from working out like twice a week to 21 times a week, right? In the space of a day. And I still got all my work done. And I still had time with the family. I just made time because it was really important because I didn't want to lose the competition. Yeah. The last day, he took the day off work. He worked out for the entire day and he beat me. So.
That is interesting. That's the competitiveness. You have to have the competitive. You have to learn how to become competitive. That's something you can learn. You can learn how to become competitive for sure.
Exactly. You just win a few times and all of a sudden you tend to get the bug.
100%. 100%.
Yeah. All right, guys. Well, thank you very much for joining us. I hope you enjoyed this latest episode of Closers Are Losers. Make sure you check us out on the Facebook group, The Sales Revolution. And Jeremy, you can tell them about where they can find us.
Yeah, so you just go to Sales Revolution on Facebook. So Jeremy Miner, Sales Revolution. That is a group where we come live. I go live about probably, probably at least 3 times, sometimes 5 times, probably too much. And we give you different tips and trainings that you can apply to whatever you sell, your product or service, your industry, to go out and increase your sales dramatically.
All right, guys, thank you so much. Really appreciate you being here.
Now, if you're serious about joining the top 1%, I mean the top 1%, and you want to experience more training content just like this, click the links right over there. Right over there, they're exactly what you need to see next. You see, I release new episodes featuring top salespeople and sales authorities, multiple 6-figure, high 6-figure, even 7-figure earners. And if you're new here, do yourself a favor and smash that subscribe button right below, and join our new Facebook group, Sales Revolution. You see, it's free, and there's a link in the description below just for you. We put it there for you. Finally, I make posts on Facebook and Instagram each and every day with more tips and training. So be sure and follow me and turn on your notifications. So make a comment in the first 7 minutes to any of my latest posts, share this episode, and there's a very real chance that you're gonna win some killer prizes. And here's the thing, don't sit on the sidelines. Don't be like everyone else. Get into the game. Join the sales revolution. Stay active, get involved, learn the right skills, and we will show you how to take your life and income to a level that most only dream about.